No worries.
So, أعوذ بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على رسول الله وعلى آل بيت رسول الله. So, the sciences of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, peace be upon him, were not just confined to Islamic laws. And it's just, everything that is just related to halal and haram and Islam and just this part, this section. But the sciences of Imam al-Rida especially, he was kind of known by a special kind of science, a special kind of knowledge, which they call it like medicine. And was kind of special to Imam al-Rida. I'm not saying here that the other Imams, they don't have this. They do. All of them, they have all of these sciences. But with Imam al-Rida, he had something written. He had written himself a complete medical dissertation, and that is something that has was not done by other Imams. That's why he was known, and it was unique for Imam al-Rida alayhi salam to write something in medicine. And the dissertation that he wrote is a clear proof about his unique knowledge in medicine. And this dissertation, it's called the Golden Dissertation, or the Golden Medical Dissertation. In Arabic, it's called Al-Risalatu Dhahabiyya. And we are going to talk a little bit about it before we enter into talking about its contents. So, as we know that Imam al-Rida alayhi salam was living at the time of Ma'mun, and you know that he was supposed to be Waliul Ahd, the one who takes charge in wilayat after Ma'mun. Of course, was just just something in shape, something just from outside, but truly Ma'mun didn't want that. So, and Ma'mun gave Imam al-Rida the medal of doctor. And what happened is that in this dissertation, it contains the general programs that are necessary for putting whatever right in our bodies, protecting it from diseases. And it is regarded as the main base of preventive medicine in this time. Because as we know, it's much more important um, to really prevent than to treat disease. So this dissertation really is important for the prevention of diseases. It's a preventive medicine. So Al-Ma'mun asked Imam Musa ibn Ali ibn Musa Rida to write this. And the story says that Al-Ma'mun was really known and distinguished among all other people who were in Khilafah before him, even in the Abbasid, that at his time, he gave a lot of importance to knowledge and literature. And he was really concerned in this. So he used to conduct a lot of seminars, what we call these days, or conferences, um, you know, to talk about different topics of literature and knowledge and medicine. So he used to have like kind of jalsa, or like gatherings for different topics. So Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, he used to be in the Majlis of Ma'munah sometimes. And as far as I remember, that this has happened on the way where Imam was going to Naishabur. The Al-Ma'mun was known for this, that he had gathered a lot of scientific researches, and he gathered it in kind of libraries, and he was really known for that. So one of those scientific gatherings, let's say, or these scientific researches that happened, or that seminar, was in the presence of Imam al-Rida and the Ma'mun and other doctors. And the doctors, let's say at that time, who were present, they really were known for their expertise in medicine. And we have such some names like Yohanna, Jibra'il, like even a one Indian medicine, because India was really known for its Ayurvedic medicine. So this research that was at that time, or this seminar, let's say, or this gathering, they were talking about the cells and the organs and the systems, which showed the wisdom and the wonderful power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those people, they were also talking about what is right in food and diet, and what is corrupt for a man to eat and put in his body. And so this seminar was held with greatest scholars and leaders. So those people who were discussing, and Imam Rida was there, but he was silent all the time. And then he didn't speak anything. But Al-Ma'mun asked him that, and he said, Abul Hassan, what do you say about this matter which we are discussing today? Like, what do you say about it? We are discussing about these issues. So what is your opinion about it? And which is necessary for recognizing these things, useful and harmful foodstuffs, and directing the body. So here Al-Ma'mun is asking for Imam al-Rida's opinion, because he knows how much this opinion is valuable. So Imam alayhi salam answered him, and he said, I have of it knowledge. I have of this knowledge that you are asking about. I have this knowledge of what I have personally tested. So here Imam is saying at in first place that he has tested these things. Whatever he's going to say to Ma'mun, he tested them personally and came to know about its accuracy by experience. So again, he's saying, I experienced them. And as if Imam alayhi salam, he was living this type of lifestyle for sure. And he came to know these things by testing, and which is the most important part, by the passage of time. With time, he got to know that these are accurate and these are personally tested. And in addition to that, I was told by my ancestors of what nobody afford to be ignorant of. So, as if here is saying, Imam Rida is saying that the knowledge I will give you, I will let you know about the topics that you are asking about, is the knowledge that I have been given by my ancestors. And ancestors means what? Means the father of Imam al-Rida, and goes back to Imam Ali alayhi salam, and then back to Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So that's why we say whatever we have, whatever Imams know, whatever knowledge, the door for that is Rasulullah. So basically, the knowledge that Imam Rida alayhi salam has given in his medical dissertation goes back to the knowledge of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So the Imam continues and he says, nobody afford to be ignorant of. And this is really important when I read this sentence, especially in the Arabic language. It says, like, you cannot be ignorant of the information that I'm going to give you in this medical dissertation. And then he continues and he says, nor excused for leaving it. If we know this information, which you are going to know part of it tonight, there's no excuse for us to leave this information, because it is going to guarantee our happiness in this life and the hereafter, just by regulating our food and drink and sleep and all of these things. So the Imam told him that he will compile for him, he will send him an equal portion of whatever everyone should know. And what happened is that, as I remember, that Ma'mun was in hurry and he had to rush to Balkh, which is one another city. So an Imam wrote him this medical dissertation and he sent it to him. And once the Ma'mun received this dissertation, he was really impressed in it, and he was really kind of you know really impressed by what the Imam has written, and he ordered that this dissertation, this should be written in gold. And that's why it has this name, golden medical dissertation, because after Ma'mun received it, it was written, he ordered that it is written in gold. And he also ordered to be copied many times, and to give it to his sons, to the members of his family, to the government. And he ordered also that a bunch of copies to be deposited at his depository of wisdom. It was like a library or something where he deposited all of the information and messages that he gathered from all over the world, and that was called Baytul Hikmah. So he ordered the al Imam to let's say the government, the people of his government, to keep this like a file there. And after, it is written in gold. So it was written in gold. And this dissertation is of great importance that it has been written also in ancient calligraphy, and was handwritten by gold. and it is still available till now. And at this library, I don't know where exactly, but Imam Hakim Library. And still, the information of the golden medical dissertation came to us, and now we know it. That is Risalatul Dhahabiyya for Imam Rida. And this medical dissertation is composed of 14 pages, but those scholars who have um, let's say, try to explain uh, the words of the Imam. Some of them wrote books of 400 pages. Like the 14 pages that Imam Salawatullahi alayhi have written, scholars, they have explained it, some of them in 400 pages, which means it is a dissertation that has a lot of information, and the Imam just summed up the information. So after this, the Ma'mun also has asked the physicians at that time, because at that time they were really great physicians, and he asked them to read it. And many physicians, they have read this dissertation, and they have praised it so much. And once the Ma'mun received it and he praised it, he said a lot of things. I removed the first part of what Ma'mun said after he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he said, now then, this is Ma'mun praising the dissertation. Now then, I have reviewed the dissertation of my learned cousin, loved and virtue one, the logical physician, which deals with the betterment of the body, the conduct of bathing, the balance of nutrition, and I found it very well organized and one of the best blessings. And really, it's a blessing that we have. And then Al Ma'mun said, I carefully studied it. He studied this message, this letter, reviewed it, and contemplated upon it till its wisdom manifested itself to me. Its benefits became obvious, and it found its place, my heart. So I learned it by heart, and I understood it by mind. I found it to be a most precious item to possess, a great treasure, and the most useful thing. So I order it to be written in gold due to its being precious, good, abundantly blessed, and I called it Al-Mudahaba, the golden one, and deposited it at the depository of wisdom after I had it copied down by the descendants of Hashem, the youth of the nation. And also he continues and he said, the bodies become healthy by balanced diet. So this is just the praise of the Ma'mun. And life becomes possible by overcoming disease. And through life, wisdom is achieved. Through wisdom, the garden is won. I don't want to really talk about the words of Ma'mun. I just want to go to the words of Imam right away. We mentioned that the great physicians at that time, they looked into this letter. Ma'mun made them see this medical dissertation, and they really evaluated with high esteem, evaluated it, and it seemed excellent to them. So let's talk about the content of this medical dissertation. The Imam first, I can say it's divided into many parts, but into three like basic sections. Or let's say three topics. So first, the Imam talks about the betterment of the body, what we need to improve the body, what we need to make this body better, protecting the body from the diseases, and making it enjoy perfect health, making the body enjoying perfect health. And the medical dissertation has programs for that. Like the Imam has listed everything from food to preventive medicine to even toothpaste to even certain drinks to sleep, to season, to how to take care in different season, in different months. And the second part of the medical dissertation, it talks about bathing, which is one of the basic elements of health, and it's really important for the cleanness of the body. But that bathing that Imam was mentioning, it was the bathing that was done at that time, not the bathrooms that we have this time, because at that time they had like they call it an Arabic hammam, and it was made in Iran. They know it, still they have it till now, in Arabic people Gulf, they had it before. It has like four compartments, and each room, it has a specific, like they go take a shower and they rub, and so it's not the bathing that we have right now. And also Imam talked about the balance of nutrition and protection from diseases. So this is just in general the content of the dissertation. So let's start with the text. The Imam alayhi salam starts, of course, with praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rahman Rahim, and then he says, no, he's talking to Al Ma'mun. So he used to say, commander of faith. And he said, when Allah, this is how the Imam starts, and it's really amazing. Like, like he started with something really brilliant. That's how we know that those people are infallibles. He said, when Allah tries a servant with a disease, he appoints for him a medicine in order to cure himself with it. And for every kind of disease, there's a kind of medicine, there's a kind of prescription. And this is really amazing because, you know, we know how, because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings and this human being will get diseases in his life, we have to know that there is a cure for every disease. There's a cure for every medicine. Sometimes we don't know we don't know the medicine, we don't know the cure, and it's not the fault of those who, like, the fault, it is our fault because we are not applying the proper medicine into the disease. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created medicine for every disease. And this is gives the one who is reading this at the beginning. When I was reading this, I was like, ah, it gives us a lot of hope that whatever the disease is, Imam is saying that there is a medicine for it. And to be these are the words of Rasulullah, as we said earlier, because um, the knowledge of Imam al-Rida or the Imam is the knowledge of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why these are the words of Rasulullah. Rasulullah has hadith long time ago before Imam al-Rida, and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a medicine for every disease. And you may ask certain questions: why cancer has no treatment till now? Because cancer, to be honest, is not it is a disease, but if we can say that, but it does not need a cure like the cure that we assume, like a medicine. No, it just need a, it needs you that you eat healthy, think healthy, and then it's not that kind of complicated disease. So then the Imam, after he says at the beginning that every disease has a medicine, he's referring here to the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom. So always we say that those a'imma, they always start with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when he started with this, he's referring back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wisdom in creating man, which he created for him, many medicines for all of the diseases that he's going to have in his life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he made a certain disease, he creates a medicine for destroying that disease. So here basically the Imam is reflecting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom, that since we have a wise Lord, then if he creates a disease, then he had to create a medicine for it. And this gives a lot of hope for us, to be honest, that there's nothing to be scared of. Not corona, even because corona, like COVID, is a big lie. There's nothing to be scared of. So according to modern medicine, also these words has been confirmed nowadays, the words of the grandson of the Prophet, that we see that a lot of diseases, maybe now we don't know really, like, even like, let's say tuberculosis, or there's a lot of diseases that they don't exist anymore because there has been a medicine for them. So Imam al-Rida, after he starts with this introduction about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wisdom, and that he created medicine for every disease, then he starts talking about the man's body, our bodies, how they are made up of. And the Imam describes the body as a kingdom. And he describes it with a full page, as more than a page, as far as I remember, like many paragraphs. But since we have no time, I've just chosen parts of each paragraph. So he starts by describing the man's body as a kingdom. And he says that the heart is the king of that kingdom. And this is amazing. The heart is the king of the body. And then he says that the vessels, the limbs, and the brain, they are just workers for that king. And the way the Imam continues to describe that, which is I didn't mention here, he talks about the limbs, he talks about the eyes, he talks about the lips, he talks about the ears. He describes everything in details, and it is really amazing because he has shown the Imam here has shown the man's body, this wonderful body through which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mighty power. Like he started this dissertation with showing the creativity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his marvelous creation, that that this a human being, is just let's say the manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's beauty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wisdom. So basically, when the Imam starts by saying these words, he's reflecting on the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the way he described the human body is not the same way that we usually see it um, let's say biology textbooks or physiology textbooks, that the humans are made up of just cells and a bunch of cells and organs, and these organs, they make up the human. No, if you would just want to go to that dissertation and just read how Imam described everything. And this is also in connection with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. O man, what has beguiled you from your Lord? ما غرك أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم. The gracious one who created you, then made you complete, then made you symmetrical in whatever form he pleased, he constituted you. So here the Imam starts talking about the man's body, that it's a kingdom, and in a way that shows that there is a great world that has been folded inside every one of us. And this is what Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, which is, he's the grand father of Imam al-Ridha. He says, do you think that you are a small body while the greatest world has folded itself in you? So each one of us has a great universe inside us. Our bodies, they are not just a bunch of cells and organs and tissues working together. There's a great word inside us, and this word resembles the universe. Uh, there's more details, but unfortunately, we don't have time. So, Imam here is trying to say, yes, you are not a limited skeleton, you are not a small body, but the whole world, the group of universe, is just inside you. This is, we go back to the four elements, that the four elements of nature which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, the whole universe of, also the human being is made up of these elements. Inshallah, we can make another session for that. So also the Imam continue to say that you know yeah, he shows a lot of knowledge and wisdom when he talks about human's body, that is like a government, it's like a kingdom, and this kingdom needs a president, needs a soldier, needs a helper, and how he described everything in that. And then the Imam said, I'm not putting everything in there. As I said, it's a long dissertation. I'm just taking part of it. He describes the sadness and the happiness of human beings. And he said the origin of sadness is in the spleen, and the origin of happiness is in the kidneys. And this is amazing because this Imam wrote this 1,000 years ago. I don't know how many 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago. And this was not really known by modern science until now, that like even modern science, even modern research, they just researched, and just few years ago they came to that conclusion that there is a relation between the body organs and the psychological well-being, and the, let's say, psychological well-being of human beings. And here the Imam is saying it clearly hundreds of years ago, that if you have let's say unhealthy spleen, you are going to be sad. And he says, if you want to be healthy, then your kidneys has to be healthy. So in other words, if you want to be, as if Imam is saying, if you have healthy kidneys, then you are going to be healthy. You are going to be happy, sorry. So, here Imam is trying, not trying, like we are trying to understand this, um, that there's a relation between the health of the physical body and the psychological well-being. That um, if you have healthy organs, then these healthy organs, they are going to affect your psychological status. You are going to be happy or sad based on the let's say the healthiness or the unhealthiness of your organs. And this is amazing. Like, I can really now sometimes, even if I read like medical research, modern medical Western research, sometimes these ideas, they are not clear for them. They just talk about bodies and psychological well-being as if they are separate compartments. But the Imam is saying here that there is a relation between the health of our organs and the psychological well-being, our happiness. So the Imam continues and he says, and no commander of faithful, he's talking to the Ma'mun, that the body is like a good land which is maintained by plowing and watering. This is what Imam is saying. Like, if we believe that the Imam is really infallible and his words are 100% correct all the time, we should really believe in that. Like, it's not just we take the whatever Islamic laws, halal and haram. Here, the Imam is like the way we should think about it. Here, the Imam is a father. Here, the Imam is someone who is really caring about us, and he's trying to put all of these details for us in order to have a happy living. He's really like a father. So that's why it is really important to consider these words. Imam is saying that your body is like a land. If you have a land, if you keep this land without water, without plowing it, without taking care of it, then what happened to the land? Then this land will not be fruitful, will not give you anything. But if this land, you put the right seeds, you you agriculture it the good way, you water it, you take care of it, you remove the seeds, the weeds, all of this, then this land will give you fruit. So here the Imam also is talking about this thing, that if the land is neglected, it becomes spoiled. These are his words, salamullah alayhi, and no plant grows therein. There's no, the plants cannot grow in such a neglected land. And he says, therefore, the body is like such a land. It becomes good, and well being flourishes through organizing foods and drink. If you want your body to be flourished like this land and to be fruitful, you have to organize your food and drink. And earlier he mentioned that even how we should drink water. And Salam Allah alayhi said, water should not be increased, because if you put so much water to that land will not be fruitful. There will be a lot of water. And if you put a little bit of water, then this land will be thirsty. So the same thing, a human being, here Imam Salam is talking about how much water should we drink also. Because the Western perspective, they say you have to drink 8 cups of water every day. But here Imam is saying, no, it depends on your own senses if you are thirsty or not. And he will later describe that if you are thirsty, drink. If you are not thirsty, don't drink. So it's not necessary that you have to finish that 8 gallons of water every day so you become healthy. Because if there's a lot of water in your system, then you are going to be sinking in water in there, and you are not going to be flourished, same as a land. And then the Imam says, O commander of the faithful, Amin al-Mu'mineen, reflect on the food which fits you and your stomach. And this is really amazing. That the Imam is basically, the Imam is talking to us, is talking to us that we should really reflect on the food which fits you, because there are certain foods that doesn't fit us. And if we just think about it from a Quranic point of view, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Oh, like people, eat from whatever is on this earth, which is lawful and good, and don't follow the footsteps of the shaitan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here used two words in the Quran.
Mariam, sorry.
So here we were saying that that the Imam is saying that we have to reflect on the food which fits us and fits our stomach. I don't know if you heard this before I get disconnected. That I said that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in the Quran He mentions that in the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Like He says, oh people, eat from whatever is on earth which is good and lawful and good, and don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning two words, the lawful and the good. And we know that there's no repetition in the Quran. If there's two words in the same, they are together, they doesn't mean the same. So what I mean by that is that lawful doesn't mean that good, which is good, doesn't mean lawful. So here I mean to say that lawful, which is halal, and good, which is the other word, they don't mean the same. So the other word, which is tayyib, which is good, it means that you have to eat the food that doesn't hurt you. Any type of food that hurts you, you should not eat it, even if it's halal. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says halal tayyib, lawful good, because we have certain types of food which are lawful, but they hurt us. So shall I eat these food if they are lawful? Shall I eat all of these sugars and the regular like table salt and all of these um, refined sugars and refined salt and refined flours, even if they are halal? So the halal, yes, I understood it. It's based on meat and all of these things. But what about tayyib? What about good? So scholars or mufassirun in some of the tafasir, they say that tayyib is the thing that doesn't cause harm to your body. So here the Imam again is saying, which the Quran emphasizes on, that we have to eat food which fits us, which fits our stomach. And the purpose of that food is strengthens our own bodies, strengthen your body. That's the purpose of eating, and gives it to enjoy it. And also this body has to enjoy this food. If we give this body unhealthy food, not healthy food, food that harms it, it's not going to be enjoyable for the body. So the Imam says, so estimate and carefully consider your own food. And imagine these are the words of the Imam. Imagine you have Imam Rida now in front of you, and because all of us were waiting for Imam Mahdi, and and they have the same words. So both of all of the Imams, they have the same knowledge. So imagine now Imam Mahdi is saying to you, you should estimate and carefully consider your own food. Or Imam Al-Rada is saying this to you, because we underestimate this. We think that when somebody talks about food and health and wellness, they are so confined in this dunya, and they just want they just want to be limited to this dunya. They just want good bodies, good shapes. They want to be, but no. When we talk about these things, it's not how we look, or not because we want to look like slim and we want to be one of those models. No, when our AI must say that, because they know that food has an effect on our spirituality, on our perfection. If you don't have a good body, then you will not be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the same way. So the good body, the healthy body, is the foundation, is, if you want to say, the foundation of establishing morals, establishing your own perfection. They say that the good bodies, it is the platform for any spiritual ascension. If you want to elevate in spirituality, elevate in perfection, you have to start with your body and food. Otherwise, you don't reach a really good place. Why? Because this soul needs the body in its destination. We are heading towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and every day by being the perfect version of ourselves. So if I want to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I should have a strong body. Otherwise, If this body, which is the car, is going to be weak, it's not going to make my soul reach this destination. So that's why we estimate these things. It's not just because how we look or want to be special. No, because it really helps us in our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the foundation, basically. It is the foundation. The more I read on these topics, the more I say subhanallah. Like, it is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the food and the body the foundation for any spiritual or moral ascension or spiritual ascension. Why? Because we are creating our realities from the food we eat. If we eat dead food, then we are going to be dead. If we eat alive food, we are going to be alive. So I don't want to talk too much about it because I can talk till the morning. So I want to go with the Imam, what the Imam said, that, and then the Imam continues to say that, and know that each one of these natures likes that which suits it. And here the Imam is talking about different body temperaments, that every one of us has a different body temperament. If we go to a nutritionist or a dietitian or whatever, that what I used to be before, and we just used to plan diets, everyone according to calories, like, okay, 1,800 calories, 2,000 calories, go eat this. But we have different natures for everybody. That's why we have different diet for everyone. Every diet is individualized based on everyone's nature. If you are a fiery person, if you are an airy person, if you are a water person, your diet is so different. If I'm an airy person, I eat the same food as a fiery person, it won't work. I won't feel good. And if a fiery person eats the same thing as an airy person, he will always be angry. So that's why the food it has to be adjusted according to our own nature. And here the Imam says, eat that which suits your own body. He who takes an increase of food does not make use of it, and he who takes an amount of food without an increase or a decrease makes use of it. And this is really important because sometimes we think that the more we eat, the more it's good for us. But actually, the body just uses whatever he needs. If you eat in increase for whatever your body needs, then it's going to cause you harm. And then he mentions really an important point at the end of this paragraph, and he says, and raise your hand from food while you still incline to it. You still want to eat till you are not fully full. You still have the desire to eat. You are just looking at that plate and I say, okay, I wish I have two or three more bites. At that time, you should stop eating. And this is what the Imam says, raise your hand before like before you are full. And the other hadith from Imam Ali, where you are still desiring it, you still want to eat. And that's a big problem if we eat till we are full. Because as I remember, maybe Imam Zain al-Abidin, if I'm not mistaken, their words are one. So even if I'm mistaken, that two things they cannot be combined in a human being: the overeating and the let's say sharpness and smartness. They cannot. If you want to be sharp, if you want to be smart, if you want to be have a spiritual kind of connection, you should not be full. That's why they say that the basic in let's say in our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what like people of Arfan says, the mystical people, there are three things: sleeping less, eating less, and talking less. So eating is one of the compartments. If you want to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you cannot reach him with a full stomach. And this is really basic, and I'm 100% aware of whatever I'm saying. This is the words of the infallibles. If your stomach is full, you cannot reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for many reasons. So here we have to know this before we are full. We have to.
Sorry, Mariam,
Yes.
can you repeat the some part because you were
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I'm having a good connection
Yeah,
today.
it happens like from time to time now.
Okay. So the last thing that I was saying is that the people of Arfan, the people of mystics, they say that if you want to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to start from some place. And that place has to be three compartments, which is not eating so much, not sleeping so much, and not talking so much. So less food, less sleep, and less talk. So here, basically, what they are saying, if you want to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you cannot reach him with a full stomach. And these are the words of the infallibles. If you want to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have to go, you don't have to be full. And we are not saying here that you have to stay hungry. No. We are saying not stay, not be full. That's what we are saying. Like don't finish your food and you are over, like you have eaten so much, you had overeating. No, you should, one third of the stomach should be empty, at least 75% full. So 25% of the stomach should be empty once you finish eating. And then he says, um, yeah, raise your hand from food while you still incline it, you still want it, you still deserve it, you still desire it. For it puts right your own body and stomach, pure your reason, and lightness your body. Why? Imam here is describing why you should do this. It affects your reason, and this is what I was saying earlier, that it affects your mental status. In Arabic they say, Imam says, al-fitna wal-butna la yajtami'an. Like, if you want to be smart and have good reason and good intellect, you cannot overeat. You should know this. If you overeat and you are always overeating and not leaving certain space, and then you could not have a good reason. You are not, like, mentally there will be an issue there. So these are the words of the Imam. Alhamdulillah, these are not my words. And also the Imam in this medical dissertation, he talks about also seasons. And I'm just trying to talk in general about what Imam mentioned. But there's a lot of details that he mentions for everything there. And then that part he talks about seasons, and he says eat cold foods in summer and eat hot foods in winter, and moderate food in the two seasons according to your own strength and appetite. And this is really important because we mess up all the time. In winter, we eat a lot of cold food, and cold food here, it doesn't mean the food that is out, like is cold, that it is out of the fridge. No, cold and hot food means that their temperament is cold and hot, despite even if they are outside fridge or not. Their nature is cold or not, because everything in nature has temperaments. And this is amazing. Inshallah, we're going to make one seminar about this topic very soon. That days have nature. Days, they have nature. So, for example, Friday is a warmer day in nature. That's why we do a lot of ibadah in there. Places have nature. That's why, for example, cemeteries, like graveyards are cold. Animals, they have nature. Colors, they have nature. Like everything has nature. So that's why Imam here is saying, in each season, eat according to that season, whatever you are going to eat. So, for example, in winter, we cannot have a lot of yogurt and dairy and a lot of, like, melons. Why? Because these types of fruit, they are cold nature. We don't need melons in winter. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't like, he doesn't really, let's say, we don't have really agriculture of melons in winter. Like, I know US is something different where you can find everything at any time. That's why we have a lot of problems, because we should have foods for summer and foods for winter. So whatever we have in winter, whatever you see the most at the grocery shop, in winter you see a lot of yams, a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of pumpkins. So that's what you need in winter. And in summer you see a lot of melons, a lot of cucumbers, a lot of celery. This is what you need. So just go with that. It's really important. Of course, there's a lot of information, and there's every food has a nature. So I'm just giving now basic information. And also, the Imam continues to talk about the months, and the months also, they have temperament and they have nature. And the Imam, the beautiful thing here is that the Imam talks about each month alone. He starts with the spring, with March, and he says, In March you should eat this and do this, and in April and till the end of the year, 12 months. Why? Because every month has a different nature, has a different temperament. What we need to do in spring is totally different what we need to do and eat in January. That's why we have a lot of problems, because our body temperaments are not managed according to months and seasons and food temperaments, which they should be managed according to our own temperaments. And it's really it's really individualized, and different differs from one person to another. Also, the Imam says, continue to say, let's see how many more time do I have. Okay, so the Imam says that important part in his medical dissertation. For me, that's, I don't know. I feel that's my favorite sentence. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. He says, "Know that the strength of the soul follows the tempers of the bodies." And I say, Alhamdulillah, that sometimes when I'm doing certain consultations, I put this because it's not me who is saying this. It's the Imam who's saying this. That the strength of the soul follows the tempers of the body. If you want to have a strong soul, a strong nafs, a strong, then your body has to be strong. In other words, if you have a weak body, which is, I mean, we have weakened this body ourselves. It's not like a disease which is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just, I don't know, like, it's not man made, let's say. So, or if it has another causes, because sometimes we have another causes for disease. We have diseases that comes to us after dhanab or after sin. So something like that. But here I'm saying, if your body is weak because you have weakened it because of a sin or because of a food or because of something, then it is going to affect the strength of your soul. And this is really amazing. If Am I still here? Yeah. So if you want to have a strong soul, then you should have a strong body. This is the foundation. Also, the Imam continues to talk about the quality of the air. That these tempers also depend on how much fresh air you take, and this is really makes sense because when the Imam talks about the strength of the soul and that it follows the tempers of the bodies, we all know this quote that says, "Sound reason is in a sound body." If you want yourself to be psychologically good, spiritually good, in addition, of course, to abandoning sins, which sin can really affect the body too, you have to have strong body. So here I'm just putting between quotes that there are certain diseases that comes after certain sins. So it's not necessary to be just a diet, but if we are doing something that we can do is, to enhance our diet, to think about it. Because if you want a strong soul, then it comes from our strong bodies. So also the Imam says, surely the betterment and straightness of body and its corruption come through food and the drink. And this is again the Imam. And see how he starts his this paragraph. He says, surely. The Imam here is saying surely. Inna. He's not doubting that if you want your body to be straight, to be healthy, to be good, then you have to manage your food and drink. So the straightness of the body or the corruption of the body comes from the food and the drink that you eat. So if you put them right, again, this is the Imam, then your body is good. And if you corrupt them, then your body is corrupt and amazing. And don't look at these words of wisdom as really a words that is been mentioned by is been mentioned. I don't know if I'm still here. Yeah, it's mentioned by an imam, like a father. So like if you are a mother, you are a father, you try to say to your kids like, eat this because this is healthy and do this. So here the imam have this kind of, I don't know, but you can get this kind of feeling from whatever he's saying, that he really cares about us. He really wants us to, and that's why he was here. That's why he's an imam. because he really wants to take us into our perfection by even talking about these simple things that we may assume it's simple and not important, but the Imam is putting so much stress on it and so much importance that it really he even his these simple things he's telling us that you should take care of it. So also the Imam talks about sleep, and he says that sleep is the power of the brain. This is for those people who may stay awake all night, because usually the power of the brain comes from sleeping at night, not sleeping through the day. And because, subhanAllah, this is the way we are designed. And he says the straightness and the strength of the body. If you want to sleep, and then, subhanAllah, like this Imam al Ra'uf, you know, uh, they mention Imam al Rida as an Imam al Ra'uf, like the one who really take care of others, that he one who has a lot of um, empathy, a lot of love. That's one of his names. So imagine now Imam Rida is telling us how to sleep. Like he's saying, and imagine he's entering and he's talking about all of these details, and he's saying, if you want to sleep, first lie on your right side and then turn over your left side. And there's a lot of information that he mentions after that, but unfortunately, there's no time. So even imagine he's talking about sleep and the importance of sleep. And also, he talks about teeth and why they are the teeth there. And he talks about how to take care of your teeth. And I didn't write the text here, but basically, he was saying that you have to use the miswak or anything which is natural, toothpick, natural toothbrush. And also, he mentions a recipe for a toothpaste. And this is what's amazing. Imam Rada is giving us a recipe for a toothpaste. And he mentions certain ingredients that how to make a natural toothpaste. And instead of using Crest and Colgate and paying a lot of money for those companies, which they at the end kill us with these toothpaste, because as you know, all of the toothpastes they have a lot of fluoride, and they they are happy to announce for us that fluoride is really good, and that we should use a lot of fluoride in our toothpaste, and they would be really happy that give your children fluoride toothpaste, but actually they are killing us with this fluoride. They are killing our children's brain with this fluoride. So basically, I can surely say something that 99% of the toothpaste in the market is not a good toothpaste. It's something that you need to throw away. And we have simple home basic ingredients that we can use to use a toothpaste. And the Imam gives a recipe for that. But unfortunately, we don't have so much time. But basically, simply, you can just use a miswak. A miswak. Everyone knows what a miswak, especially those in the Gulf. It is found everywhere, and usually we get it from Medina or from Saudi, or even in Bahrain. It's available any place you go. That will be the best way to clean your teeth. You can add a little bit of sea salt on that, some herbs that will help you, a little bit of peppermint oil or anything, but just to throw all of those toothpaste away. And this is what the Imam is saying. It's not me. And then the Imam, after he talks about the stages of man's life, that, as I mentioned earlier, everything has a temperament, and that the uh, the stages in our lives, they have a temperament. So if you are a child, it's different than when you are youth. It's different when you are adult. It's different when you are elderly. So, and each time, each stage in your life, you should eat according to your own stage. Like I cannot give my, for example, old mother or grandfather the same food I give to my little child. There's a lot of things that are different. So we have to monitor this, and we have to know that the diseases, they happen according to the body temperaments. For example, if you are of airy nature, then you could expect certain diseases at the end of your life. Your diseases will be this. If you are fiery diseases, your diseases will be this. So if you know your body temperament earlier, you will be able to know how to protect yourself. So once you reach this stage of life, you don't have a lot of problems because you already prevented a lot of things. So also the Imam at the last section, he talks about bathing. And I mentioned earlier that whatever the Imam mentioned about bathing is not the bathing that we know, because now we have different bathrooms, and those bathrooms that was at that time, some of them they still exist in Iran, and they used to have four compartments, and every compartment is different, where, like, something was like sauna, and something was like jacuzzi, and something, so this was the proper bathing, and it has a lot of benefits. And also Imam at the end talks about cupping, and he talks about two kinds of cupping, the dry one and the wet one, and when to do each one, and how to do it. And we have a lot of Islamic traditions on how to do the Islamic cupping. And he talks about these in details. But this is, we cannot do that. So at the end, I already finished my time. I still have 3 minutes. Surely the Imam, peace be upon him, alayhi salam, was among the keepers of wisdom. He was, we call it, like, if we do ziyarat, we say hamalatul wahy, inheritors of the prophets. So basically, his knowledge is the knowledge of Amir al-Mu'mineen, is the knowledge of Rasulullah. And the knowledge of Rasulullah is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why there's another occasion where Imam Sadiq, he says, whatever I have, he talks to Mansur, which was the Khalifa at that time, that the knowledge that I have is the knowledge of Rasulullah, and the knowledge of Rasulullah is a divine knowledge. So whatever we have from those keepers of wisdom, from those inheritors of the Prophet, is the wisdom itself. It's the knowledge. It's the knowledge that we need in order to reach happiness in this life and in the hereafter. And we should not only think that this is dissertation just to live happily here. No, here and in the hereafter, because if you have a healthy body in this life, you are going to enjoy life, and you are going to reach akhirah, because you are going to have a strong body to do worship, to serve your community, to be a better human being, to do a lot of ibadah, service, make this earth a better place. Just if you have what? A strong body. So this strong body will be a great tool for you in this dunya, in order to live happily, enjoy it, and achieve the most you can for the hereafter. So it's not just confined to dunya or akhirah, it is for both of them. And this is what the immas, they are here for. And Rasulullah is to make us live happily in this dunya and in the hereafter, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala rasulillah wa ala ali bayti rasulillah.